watching Niger Live Television, reaching you from Bielsa's capital city, Yenagoa. My name is Barbie Mkparu, and I'm with...
Glad Yakie.
All right, so you're welcome to Newspaper Review. Newspaper Review is your daily press review. We're going to be checking out headlines, making the papers, and also discussing them. So stay tuned. We begin quickly with the Nation newspaper. A top headline here: Nigeria, Britain seal deals on port reform, migration, and others. Glad. Have you checked out that story? What do you think about the headline?
Very interesting story there for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He went on that state visit to the UK. So he met with the British Prime Minister on the 18th of March, and he stayed there for 2 days, 18th and 19th of March, and they were discussing policies that will be favorable to both countries, of course, Nigeria and the UK. And some of those policies involve immigration, and of course, there's going to be security in there as well.
Yeah.
And there were also talks on deals made on ports as well. So the UK and Nigeria reached a deal worth so over 700 million pounds to help to improve ports in Nigeria. So very interesting developments, and I think the president is already back from that. So it was a much better trip from the one he had against him in Turkey.
Very true. We hear that deal, it's more like a loan.
Of course.
That was taken.
Of course, it cannot be a charity. they will definitely want to get something back in return. So
Very
it's both
true.
For the profits of both nations.
Very true. Thank you. Let's check out another headline. President calls for peace as Muslims mark Eid al-Fitr. That's their Muslim celebration, that the President, Tinubu, is calling for peace amongst Muslims amidst this spiritual celebration amongst the Muslims.
Well, of course, safety of individuals should be guaranteed when they are engaging in their religious endeavors. So it's a good one. The president is calling for peace and calm, because when you look at the situation in the country, there's been a lot of tension and security risks in general. But very good one from the president coming out to at least call for calm. And so far, everything is going smoothly, at least in Yenagoa. The events are going and peacefully, and in other regions at least we have not really heard of any issues, so it seems like everyone is adhering to the president's advice.
Thank you very much. At this point, religious celebrations is part of the reasons why people gather.
Of course.
So there's a whole lot of crowd at the mosques right now. So the peace statement, the peace call from the president is of huge importance.
Of course. While I was even heading to the studio, I was actually held up in traffic because of the people, the number was massive. So there's a lot of crowd, and in order for you to guarantee peace and stability, you have to there need to be security officials, operatives in on ground. And so far, the security details there was quite impressive, and I think it will be similar in other parts of Nigeria
the country.
as well. So far everything is going smoothly. The people celebrating, they're also doing it peacefully and civilly. So it's going good so far.
All right, thank you very much. Let's quickly move on to the Vanguard newspaper. Let's check out details. A few headlines on the Vanguard newspaper. Middle East war, fresh fears of higher petrol price as crude hits $114 per barrel. We had been reporting $100, $110, and now we're seeing $114 per barrel.
Well, the situation is becoming dire, and for the US, they've been unable to really take control of that Strait of Hormuz. For Iran, they are trying to ensure that nothing really passes there. And for Donald Trump, he's been calling on his allies, talking about the likes of Great Britain, France, and Germany to step up and carry out attacks against the Iranians. But they are not ready to engage in such conflict. They felt like the war was started by the US, so it's essentially the American war. So that for Iran, this is their only leverage they have. They know they cannot defeat the US militarily, so they want to ensure that they
crumble them.
They crumble. So and it's been having ripple effects across the globe, and the price of oil of course, has been increasing. We are even witnessing it here in Nigeria.
Here in Nigeria,
and
true.
for Nigeria, I was always not happy about the fact, considering I felt like the war in Iran should even be a blessing to us, because we are also an oil producing nation.
Yes.
But so far, the prices of oil hasn't been dropping, and for Iran, they are still going to control that Strait of Hormuz for a long time.
All right, thank you. Let's check out quickly Punch newspaper. 2027 succession firestorms in 10 states as governors exit nears. Now, this is in regards to the 2027 general elections in so many states in Nigeria. The whole process of succession, who is going to succeed me as governor, and whole lot. It's causing a whole lot in states in Nigeria.
Well, this of course is going to cost a whole lot, and considering the fact that the elections are coming, a lot of people are agitating, trying to source for support, and so far it's really looking like APC is just the dominant party in Nigeria, and of course ADC they are trying to make a resurgence, but it really appears the control
APC is dominating.
It's almost like a monopoly at this point in Nigeria. So it's going to be interesting seeing what pans out in the next election. But of course, Nigerians are sort of desperate. We want a lot of people want the situation to be better. Of course, the president recently visiting the UK is also trying to make efforts to improve the situation in the country.
True.
But ahead of the elections, it's not really clear how things will play out. But so far, APC seems to be having a strong hold.
Quite an interesting one. And then we're seeing a whole lot of political parties, the ones with names that we're not really familiar with. They're all coming up. I have a couple of mates who had finished before me, some just finished with me, already doing flyers and wanting to contest the election. I'm like,
you could also consider it as well.
I should. I'm wondering, I said, okay, 2027 is going to be a very interesting year.
Yeah.
So we look forward to that, honestly. Quickly, let's move on to This Day newspaper. Let's check out a few headlines available on This Day newspaper. Nigeria, UK signed £746 million deal to upgrade Apapa tin can ports. That's what we're saying earlier.
Still with regards to Tinubu's visits to the UK, and that's been making headlines across different newspapers. So it's a massive deal, especially considering the service state of our ports. So it's going to at least improve the state of our ports in general, because you look at the amount, it's massive. That's almost 1.5 to 2 trillion naira, so it's a lot of money, and when you consider it in that naira terms, it seems like a whole lot. When you invest it wisely, at least it will help to improve the state of our ports. And of course, it sends that clear message for the UK. They are focusing on exports and imports with Nigeria, and that's where the ports they are like the veins of exports. So they are really thinking about it from that business perspective, how they can also enrich themselves in a way.
Very true.
It's going to be beneficial to them, not just like charity. They are definitely going to profit from it,
game.
Of course.
Yeah. So, all right, let's check out another headline. With attacks on energy facilities, Iran war enters new phase. Oil jumps above $119. Still what we were mentioning earlier.
Of course, sabotage. That's another strategy being employed for Iran. They still bomb. They've sunk about 8 ships at the last time I checked at the Straits of Hormuz as well. Yeah. And the US are also targeting some oil refineries there in Iran, and Iran has also responded by attacking different facilities in the Middle East as well. So it's really difficult for you to even start producing at this point, and you have to think about how you can repair the damages done to your refineries. So that's why the price of oil continues to increase.
Yeah. Sad one there. Starmer hosts Tinubu at Downing Street. That's the Prime Minister.
Prime Minister, Keir Starmer.
Okay. Quickly to the Guardian newspaper. Global Terrorism Index. Opposition, CSOs, flay FG over worst rating. 46% surge in killings. That's the Global Terrorism Index. Says Nigeria, it's now rated as the fourth country facing terrorism,
Of course,
suffering.
of course, it's not a good place to be and to find yourself in that kind of ranking. You want to find yourself among the safest countries, but unfortunately for Nigeria, that's the state we currently are. You see, there's many armed bandits currently operating, and then recently we saw the Boko Haram attacks in Borno State again. So we thought Boko Haram was a thing of the past, but of course they are metamorphosing. I still feel like
at this point they are rebranding.
Of course, they are rebranding. There's the bandits, there's the Fulani headsmen, there's a lot of things going on in the country at this moment. And for President Tinubu, in his state visit to the British Prime Minister, he stated that the rise in these extremist groups is also due to climate change. So according to him, it feels like the desertification of the north is now basically hampering the. Should I say? I will have to put it as their heads. They can't really the crops they normally feed on. They are currently dying off because of the desertification of the north. So they are trying to move southwards where they can get crops, and it's also causing the tensions between the herders and the farmers. That's why we've seen a rise in the attacks between farmers and the herders. But overall, it's not really nice. The headline you talked about Nigeria being ranked so low in terms of terrorism index, but hopefully this deal that the president has gone to the UK to sign is going to help improve the security situation in the country as well.
All right, we're hopeful. We have here Nigerian Railway Corporation rolls out special Salah train services nationwide.
Of course, to enable easy movements of people going out to celebrate this event. So it's actually a very good development.
We also heard that in some parts of Osun State, the Muslims were able to travel for free at that point, not even being charged.
Of course, that's one good thing about the Muslims. This sense of brotherhood, they try to do things to enable people to ensure that they celebrate their events peacefully and enjoy themselves essentially. But if you see cases like in Christmas, the prices would increase instead. So that's one difference between the Christians and the Muslims, and it's good the fact that they are trying to enable people to celebrate and have a good time.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, let's quickly check out some headlines available on the New Telegraph. 2,071 Nigerians face deportation as Britain begins immigration crackdown.
Of course, it's unfortunate, but the president also went there and they talked about issues of immigration. Of course, they talk about the opposition party leader, Kemi Badenoch. She's had an anti-immigration stance despite the fact that she's of Nigerian origin. So she's trying to ensure that people from third world countries they are being restricted from traveling to the UK. So until I am hoping at least this deal that the president has signed with the British is going to help to improve the state of migration between Nigeria and the UK. So we'll see how that pans out.
Okay. All right. So Maiduguri bombings. Don't wait for attacks. Take war to them. Sultan tells the military.
Of course, because I feel like for Nigeria for a long time they've had this reactive approach. So you have to be
step
proactive.
on their toes first.
You have to go on the offensive because we've been reacting for a long time, and the attacks would not end with this one that happened in Borno. There's going to be more coming. So what the Sultan is saying is actually the right thing.
Take the war to them. Don't just wait for it to happen and you try to.
Of course.
Yes. Okay. In regards to the Middle East crisis, energy prices soar as protagonists attack oil gas facilities.
So making waves everywhere. You can't you can't read the newspaper without seeing this oil price issue because the war in Iran you might think is far away, but it does.
It's really having negative impact on
the world essentially. So that's what has been making waves all over the world now.
Okay, let's check out a few headlines on the Daily Monitor. Maiduguri blast. Tinubu won't rest until peace is restored in all parts of Nigeria. That's a statement from the Vice President, Shetima.
Of course, any president wouldn't be at peace when his people are dying. But a lot of Nigerians have been criticizing the president and his administration for failing to curb the insecurity in the country. But I still feel he's still bothered about this, and that's why he went to Turkey earlier, talked with the Turkish President Erdogan, and they were trying to seal some security deals as well, so to try and curb terrorism in Nigeria. And also, of course, the meeting with the British as well is also going to tackle this issue. So it's unfortunate that even till this point, Boko Haram is still operating and carrying out attacks against Nigerians. But of course, the president shouldn't, or I'm not sure if he shouldn't be at rest with the killings going on in the country.
Okay. Take ownership of fight against Boko Haram. CDS urges Borno Yobe states.
Of course, there has to be that accountability. The attacks continue to persist, and someone has to take ownership. And when you're the president, when you're the one in charge of the government, you have to take ownership. And I think I do agree with the CDS on this comment.
All right. Quickly to the Nigerian Tribune. Reps war of imminent petrol scarcity, price hike over Dangote supply gaps.
For Dangote, he's been doing a good job, at least trying to produce and refine oil for Nigerians. If the Dangote refinery wasn't working at this point, so honestly, the price of oil, petrol would even be more than 2,000 naira per liter at this point. But he's still enjoying a little bit of monopoly at this point. But he has to at least try and improve his outputs. But for Nigeria, it's going to surprise you the fact that we still rely on oil from other countries. We still get about 60 something percent of our oil from other countries as well, despite the fact that we still have the oil. And like I said earlier, I felt like the war in Iran should be an advantage for Nigeria, because for other countries, they should be looking for an alternative oil supply, and Nigeria is an oil producer, so it should have been a blessing in disguise for Nigeria. But unfortunately, sadly, we are also feeling the heat of the war.
All right. Tinubu Starmer holds talks as Nigeria UK seal 746 million pound port deals.
Still on the President Tinubu's deal. Yeah.
All right, quickly to the Daily Sun. Let's check out a few headlines on the Daily Sun. Sultan charges military to take war to terrorist dens.
Of course, and that's the same headline we just read earlier. You have to be proactive, because we've been very reactive for a long time, and I don't think we even have a proper intelligence network in Nigeria. Because you look at these terrorists, they carry out operations and almost in the open now. Because you look at bandits, their operations is now becoming too visible.
They are available on they are also
faces.
Open on social media.
So why can't you really track these people down and then do the needful? But they've been very reactive, and it doesn't really seem like they want to really do what is necessary. So I really agree with the Sultan, urging them to be proactive,
to take the action to the military, to the terrorist dens. Ohaneze steps up fight to save Igbo language, sponsors 100 youths in tech. Nice one from Ohaneze.
Of course. We need more people stepping up and carrying out this kind of acts. So for Ohaneze, it's essentially a youth empowerment scheme. So for 100 youths, if we can have more Nigerians coming up helping 100, you'll see at least to engage a lot of the youth. So good one from Ohaneze.
Considering that the world is becoming a global village,
of course,
the aspect of tech, that's a whole lot.
And of course, also trying to preserve the Igbo language. We need to uphold our cultural heritage, our language, and all that. So for Ohaneze, you want to even call him a remarkable Igbo man.
All right, so thank you for that. Let's check out Daily Trust. Daily Trust 2027. Adelabu, Pitts, Kyari, others may resign. These are ministers, appointees of the president Tinubu.
Of course, they've been a little bit of a fallout between them and the presidency, and it's expected that there's going to be some changes made for Tinubu. It seems to have found favor with certain other individuals, so it wouldn't come as a surprise if they eventually resign.
Okay, and then aside that, the president had earlier mentioned he had earlier said something in regards to all political appointees that have intention to contest for any position in the upcoming elections. The earlier they resign, the better.
Of course. So it's also a part they are trying to like pursue a higher position. That's also from their own perspective. So it's expected that they will eventually resign. But for Tinubu, he wants to still bring in certain other individuals to fill in that position.
All right. Bandits kill 3 policemen, 5 civilians in Taraba.
Same news. It's really difficult checking the headlines without seeing issues. One
Tragedy.
story of bandits killing people, but this time around policemen. So policemen even aren't safe at this point. So how can you even imagine ordinary Nigerians?
The civilians.
So, really not good in Taraba at this point.
Okay, Punch Sports Extra. Let's allow you talk about that.
Sports. Okay, for Thibaut Courtois is set to miss the Bayern Munich tie. For Bayern Munich, I think they will be very pleased with that fact, considering the fact that Courtois has been an impressive figure behind the sticks for in between the sticks for Real Madrid. So it will be a big blow. So Real Madrid ahead of that tie against Bayern Munich. And for Terry, he slams Chelsea for heavy UCL loss, and of course Terry is a Chelsea legend, and he wasn't really pleased with how they lost. And personally, I also expected Chelsea to at least play and get maybe a goal at home, but they were beating blue-black in both encounters. So I can understand Terry slamming Chelsea.
The sky wasn't blue at that point.
It wasn't blue. It was red for them, honestly. And for Osimhen, he risks months out with an arm injury. For Osimhen, he had to play the game against Liverpool with an arm injury from the first half. He was eventually subbed off, and probably even the Liverpool boss admitted Osimhen leaving the game was also, at least it gave Liverpool more grounds to attack, because Osimhen was actually a menace to the Liverpool defense. So I can understand, and it's sad for Galatasaray and for Osimhen, because he's been a very impressive player, and maybe for him the season is essentially over, because he wants to deliver on the big stage, the UCL, and they've been eliminated. And for the Turkish league, it really seems like Galatasaray will eventually win it. So the season is essentially over for Osimhen. And then for Okoye, he shifts focus to the 2030 World Cup. That's 2030 is a long time, because Nigeria failed to qualify for this World Cup, so it's going to have to wait another 4 years before he would be able to go out for the World Cup. And then for Onyedika, he sets if for Bruegel's summer exit. For Rafael Oyendika, he's been essentially a journeyman at this point. The only time we really get to see him is when he comes up for the Super Eagles. But let's see how things pan out for him. He's thinking about leaving Brugge. And for Lookman, he braces for Barca Champions League test. Going to be very interesting encounter for Ademola Lookman playing for Atletico Madrid. They face FC Barcelona in that same contest. So it's going to be really interesting.
All right. Thank you so much. And that concludes the newspaper review on this hour. You have been watching Naija Live Television. My name is Barbie Mkparu, and I've been joined by
Glad Yakie.
Glad, that is always glad to be here.
I was glad doing this, honestly.
Likewise. So do have an amazing one. Stay glued to Naija Live TV as we keep you updated, entertained, and educated. Good morning.